doesn't make this very easy. You have to download a separate encoder, fire that up, and then go live, and I can see 14 people are watching, and there have been 3 or 2 comments that have come. I think he's waiting for his oak. So I'm typing messages, encoder software, integration with YouTube to work. Encoder setup, reveal. Is that any better by chance? I turned the resolution down. Which wood do I endorse? Whatever you can get your hands on. Better? You guys can hear me now? Alright. So I'm on the lowest resolution setting. I guess that's what I need to do. My connection's not so good here. So thanks everyone who joined for being my guinea pigs here. As I don't know if you heard me say this before, but figuring out the encoder software integration with YouTube and getting this all squared away, it wasn't obvious to me that I was going to be able to do this, and I have some stuff coming up in the next month or 2 that I think live events would be good for. So I just wanted to try it out. So thanks for bearing with me here. And any questions? Guess you're not a Cubs fan. I don't really watch sports. I don't have time to watch sports. I have a full-time job and I'm trying to do this stuff, and I have a family, and no sports for me. No time. I'm not that interested either. Like who your new partner is. New partner. Who do you think will win the debate? So, I don't have time for politics either. Partner for the blade. For the blade. I think I'm literally weeks away from being able to reveal that. Which wood do you endorse? I don't understand that question. Which wood would you endorse? Hola. No, I know you weren't. Nisha, I know you were not being rude. I just don't know anything about politics, or very little. Clamps. The clamp. So someone asked about the clamps, the four-way clamps. It's not over yet. There's been a fair amount of interest, and we're trying to find somebody to partner with to bring that one to the market. So it's been a bit of a challenge, but we're not sunk yet. It's not a sure thing like the blade, though. The blade is happening for sure. You should collab with someone. Yeah. So a couple things. Collaborations, definitely. The clamps were kind of a collaboration with Jack Bench, Charlie from Jack Bench, and I'd like to do more collaborations in the future. You know, collaboration can be a complex thing to set up and get right. And as far as giving a heads up, next time I wanted to do a live feed, I kind of didn't want to do any heads up because I thought I might fumble through it, which ended up being the case. So I wanted to subject as few people as possible to it. So that's the reason for the spontaneous live feed. And can we go to Woodcraft and buy the blades? I'm going to guess that we're still several months out. New inventions, yeah, I have a lot in the works. A lot I really wish I could share right now. I have 9 products. I've released 3. The blade, the vise, and the clamps. But I have 9 in the works right now that I'm just working on prototypes and agreements with companies and in various stages. They're just nothing that I can talk about right now. That's been a bit of a challenge trying to get content out on my channel because I can't do things too early and stuff just doesn't lend itself to steady content creation. Scott Rumschlag, I don't know. I don't think I know who that is. I would definitely collaborate with other and probably will do so in the future. This is kind of tough. I'm just sitting here at the screen. If questions don't come in, I have to talk about. Are you a professional engineer? Degree, chemical engineer, not professional engineer. That's a professional engineer is a specific certification that you get by taking some tests and getting continuous education credits. And it's very common for civil engineers, for example, to be PE certified, professional engineer certified, so that they can stamp their PE stamp on a design for a bridge or something, and then it can be built. Less common for chemical engineers. Anyway, so I have a chemical engineering degree. I don't work in technical job anymore. I work in product development for a company, more of a business product commercialization kind of position. So Scott Rumschlag, I'll check his channel out. Thanks for the note. How do I like having a basement shop? It's good. It's almost better in every way than the garage. I'd say the only problem with the basement is that I make a lot more noise for the rest of the house, so I have to be a little bit more careful about what I'm doing, especially now because I don't have the soundproofing in. But it's really nice having heat in the winter and air conditioning. Now those are the 2 main benefits. So I like being in the basement. How does it feel to know you have potentially changed the future of your furniture? So the blade, I'm just so eager to have this blade on the market. It's been quite a long journey. I posted the idea came to me in early 2015, and I posted that video. It was in May, so a year and a half ago. And I've put a lot of money and time into it, and it'll just really be nice to have it out there. So believe me, nobody wants this thing on the shelves more than me. Are you working on other inventions? Yeah, I have 6 that I haven't shared with the community on YouTube, just because I'm trying to work on it. Posting a video before companies have heard about it isn't necessarily the greatest strategy, I'm finding. I think the clamp suffered from that a little bit. It might have been better to kind of share it behind the scenes first before broadcasting it. So I'm trying to hold my cards a little tighter on a few other inventions, but that's frustrating because I like sharing things and making videos and so on. So trying to find the right balance, but yeah, I'm definitely working on a lot of other stuff that hopefully I'll be able to talk about soon. Share them with us. We'll keep it secret. I'm sure. What process do you go through when coming up with ideas? it usually feels like it starts with the recognition of a good problem. Um, for the drawers being an example, the problem is it's time consuming to make drawers, and we need to make a lot of them. Um, so once I find a problem to kind of chew on, it'll just sort of be in the back of my mind, and I'll kind of piece things together. Um, but it feels like the limiting factor is really finding truly good problems to think about. If I don't have a good problem in my mind to work on, then nothing will really come to me. I love the pizza thing you made. Yeah, that was a fun project. We had a good time. The pizza peel with the inlay of a pizza in it. How do you spark your ideas for inventions? It's kind of a similar question. It all starts with a good problem. A problem that's a real headache, not, I don't know, a problem worthy of a good solution. I think that's why the blade resonated, because drawers really are a pain in the butt, and we have to make lots of them, but it's hard to find, what's another problem like that. I don't necessarily know. Anyone has any ideas? Let me know. In the bandsaw blade, the bandsaw concept with the two blades, that was sort of a similar thing, but I never quite felt like that solution was good enough or quite there. And it had been bugging me for a while, and I just felt like I couldn't get it across the finish line, and that's why I posted the video about the blades, the bandsaw concept with two blades. If you had a great idea, would you sell it? Maybe. I'd say the only time I wouldn't sell an idea is if a company just wanted to bury it. They felt that it was going to cannibalize their existing product line, and they didn't want it on the market, so they're going to buy a patent just to put it on the shelf. I have my price, but that wouldn't really sit very well with me. Other than that, I'd consider selling an idea just outright. But companies, it seems that's less likely to happen. More often, if a company's interested in your idea, they'll do a license agreement where you get a certain percentage of the sales from whatever it is. That way, they cover their risk. If it's really successful, they pay you a lot, but if it flops, then they don't really pay you very much, so it's less risky for the company. Thanks for joining. Nisha. So far, what have you found the hardest part of taking an idea from first prototype all the way to on-the-shelf product? Well, seeing as I haven't gotten anything quite to the shelf yet, I'll still try to answer that. Hardest part is getting the license agreement. Getting a provisional patent's easy. Doing a prototype's pretty easy. Even coming up with an idea is pretty easy. I think a lot of people you talk to have some idea or another. The real hard part is getting a company to pay attention. Companies are busy. They have their own product development teams. They have a lot going on. Clamps, for example, a lot of companies liked it, but the timing just wasn't right. They're halfway through revising their own product line, and they would have to retool and spend a bunch of time, and it just, not the right point. So getting the license agreement is the toughest part. What would you suggest for someone to start YouTube? Just shoot video and start downloading stuff, or start uploading, rather. And get familiar with Reddit. Reddit early on was one of the biggest parts of growing my channel. It does two things. It gives you exposure, and because it's just such an egalitarian voting system, it gives you feedback too. So if your video is good and really good, even if you're a nobody, you can rise to the top of a subreddit or even Reddit overall, and you're on the map permanently. And if your videos aren't good, people downvote them, and you need to keep working on it. Hey Izzy, thanks for joining. people are grilling me about inventions. Maybe they can ask you some questions, the real pro. I'm just sitting here again. Now, Izzy, I want to ask you questions. Your wrench is awesome. I'm impressed you were able to keep it all in the U.S. I have a new appreciation for how difficult it is to do that, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do that for everything I'm working on in the future. So kudos to you. I hope everyone appreciates, you know, what goes into making that happen. When will we see a collab with you and Nick or you and Izzy? Who knows? We all talk. We'll see what happens. Yeah, it's so tough to keep it here. It took a team to make it happen. I'm sure it did. Yeah, I'm sure it did. How did I get started in woodworking? You may be talking to Izzy at this point, but I'll answer it. So when I was a kid, my grandfather had a woodworking shop in his basement, and that was kind of the first planting of the seed of it's a cool thing to have a woodworking shop, because he could make me slingshots, and he made bellows that he sold in a crafts arts store kind of place. So that kind of planted the seed, and then I was lucky enough. I was just old enough that in junior high we had a wood shop in our school, and I got to take classes, and I made some things. And then I just kind of ignored it for 15 years. You know, I went to high school and college and had other priorities, and I was, career, and I never really had space for it. And I bought my first house when I was 26, and I was going to try to do the real estate thing, real estate investment. So I bought a few other houses, so I finally had space for a shop. And projects to do, home improvement kind of DIY stuff, and that got me interested again in building things, and woodworking seemed, more ambitious woodworking. Furniture projects seemed like an extension of the DIY, and something that I was more interested in than just home renovations and tiling and building bathrooms and things. Even after the real estate thing ended and I sold those houses, I kept going with the woodworking, and I learned from the YouTube community and just felt compelled to contribute at some point. Started making videos. Do you ever see Latino American woodworking? I'm not sure. Is that the name of a specific channel, or Latino woodworkers? I mean, I'm sure I have seen Latino woodworkers. Andrew, have you visited the Colorado Woodworkers Guild? So I joined the Colorado Woodworkers Guild. I really enjoyed the Minnesota Woodworkers Guild, where I previously lived. And I've joined in Colorado, but I haven't gone to any of their meetings yet. So I'm interested in checking it out. Backing up, if you started selling the blade, would it be mass produced or sold in a store? I expect it'll be available for purchase online in stores. Multiple channels is what I would expect. Latinos woodworkers. Nothing's coming to mind. I can't recall meeting any Latino woodworkers, but I may have. Please do fun group of people, free coffee. Sounds good. Yeah, no, I definitely need to make that a priority, getting to one of the meetings. Like I said, I joined. I just haven't been yet. Which video project which was not about an invention are you most proud of or like the most? Well, my most ambitious project, woodworking project, was the twisted table. So that was a stretch. A lot of new skills and techniques, and just I mean a lot of stuff that I came up with in my own head. Just the way the legs work on that table was something I haven't seen anywhere else. So that one I'm definitely proud of. It's funny how polarizing the comments are. Most people like it, but there's definitely a subsection of comments of people that just think it's the ugliest thing in the world. So that's okay though. I'm still proud of it. Do you ever foresee being a full-time YouTuber? So I have the curse of a job I really like, a good job that I really like. So it's going to be a pretty high bar doing the YouTube thing full-time because I really like my day job, and I do pretty well. So it's I don't know. Not in the near term. It's not impossible, but not for a while. Thanks, T-Rod. Thanks for joining. What industry is your day job? So I work for Cargill. It's a large agricultural company. And I work in our corn milling business unit, working on commercialization of feed technologies. So nothing to do with woodworking, but it's an interesting industry, and I've been with Cargill for 15 years, so it's a good company. Should do a live stream of you making something. So I'm going to say what every other creator seems to say, is that it'd be totally boring. You know, when you watch our videos, we're curating the most interesting parts of a build, and in a lot of cases speeding it up 20 times just to really do something interesting. I mean, if I was live streaming me building something, you'd sit around for 10 minutes while I try to find a screwdriver or whatever it is. I would have a hard time putting that together and trying to make it interesting and engaging. I mean, I've watched a few live streams, and it just seems like it's really tough to pull that off. The Matthias live build was boring and funny. Yeah, well, mine would definitely be boring. What species haven't you worked with yet but want to? I haven't worked with a lot of exotics. What have I worked with in the exotic category? Ebony? Mahogany? Does that even count? I think it's technically an exotic, but it kind of feels and works like a domestic. So, and I have some intention of doing more projects with exotic wood, but I have intention to do lots of things. So we'll see how fast that happens. Oh, we got a phone call from the panorama maker to come correct him on something? I hadn't seen that. That's funny. Favorite domestic then? I really like cherry. It ages really well, and the twisted table is made out of cherry. It's a fun one to work with. Cherry and walnut also. Your favorite YouTuber? Geez, I don't know. It's a hard one to answer. I mean, there were a few, Matthias and John on the creative mechanical kind of projects. I mentioned them because I think really early on I drew a lot of inspiration. Mark Spagnolo. I mean, these are not. I don't think I'm surprising anybody here, but Mark's videos were instrumental in teaching me some pivotal skills early on, but there's just a lot of good channels out there now. Kind of oil do you use on the pizza peel? So it was, I think it's just mineral oil. It's the butcher block oil. I got it Rockler or something. Top 3 table saws? My top 3 brands of table saw? Don't quite understand. Tool do you feel you never have enough of? Oh. I'm not sure. Right now I feel like I don't have enough of my drum sander because it's all taken apart and I haven't taken the time to put it back together. But it gave it color instead of being natural. No, that was just so. Dale's asking about the pizza peel. I think I'm losing the thread of this conversation. That was just the oil. You know, oil soaks in and it makes the color brighter. Dovetails, router, or hand cut. Um, I've only made dovetails with a router. Um, I've done practice boards hand cut, and they've come out okay. It's so tedious though. Gosh, I really don't like either of those processes. I've never done a serious piece of furniture with dovetails in it, just because I'm not too keen on either one of those processes. Setting up the router jigs is so finicky, and um, I haven't had good luck with that, and I haven't built the skills to hand cut them. So I just haven't done any dovetailing. Hey TJ, do you have a lot of ideas that you put lots of work into and then realize it's not worth, won't ever work? So I have one big invention failure, an idea that I think could have been as cool as the blade. Um, and the sob story there, I came up with the idea, I made a prototype, it worked, I went to my lawyer, I filed a provisional patent, and I was getting ready to release the video. And I did one more patent search on Google, and I found a problematic patent. A patent that had an idea similar to mine and one broad claim that would, according to my lawyer, because I talked to my lawyer about this, prohibit me from going forward. So what I did is I filed another provisional patent very specific to the improvement that I had, with the intention of trying to partner with this guy who had the problematic patent, because it's possible that he can have a patent that prevents me from taking action on my idea, but I can have a patent that prevents him from improving his idea. So I tried to set up a situation where we're better off together. So I did that, and I reached out to him, and we went back and forth a couple times, but he ultimately decided that he didn't need me, and just went forward with his idea on his own. So I put a lot of time and a considerable amount of money into that idea that didn't end up going anywhere. So that one hurt, but other than that, that's by far and away the biggest time and money sink as far as trying to commercialize an idea that didn't go forward. Favorite tool? I'm going to have to say my bandsaw. Getting the bandsaw really seemed to open up a lot of doors, more so than any other tool. When I got that in the shop, I just felt like a serious woodworker. What router bit brands do you use? Router bits, I'm not loyal, and this goes for most things. I'm not loyal to any one brand. When I lived in Minnesota, I was close to a Rockler, so if I need something quick, I'd swing in there. They had a good selection. So I have a lot of Rockler bits, but I also have CMT and, gosh, just a lot of, I can't even remember, but I'm not loyal to any particular brand. Yes, Izzy, I think we need to have a talk about several things. So I'd be curious to share quite a bit more with you at some point. First to market manufacturing. First to market. I'll do that. I will hit you up. I need a good bit for when you follow a stenciler pattern. Pattern bit. So the nicest and most expensive one that I know of is the one that William Ang has on his website, the Big Daddy router bit. It's like 140 bucks, but if you have any kind of gnarly figured wood, I mean, it will never chip out because hard to describe. Go look at it. William Ang. How do you spell his last name? NG, I think. Matt, welcome. Besides that, any bearing guided bit, I think they're all fairly similar. The more slant you have in the blades, generally, the cleaner it will cut. If the blade's just straight, it'll tend to tear out a little bit more. Fish to the market sounds more fun. Matt Cremona's here. All the cool kids are hanging out with me. Hi, Kyle. How's the video quality? I'm just kind of trying to judge here. Is my audio coming through okay? Good. All right, glad to hear it. Boy, YouTube doesn't make it easy to do this, the whole separate encoder integration thing. I was surprised how complicated it was to set this up. Hey, Sean. Yeah, I can kind of, so regarding the lag, I can kind of scroll up and see myself here. This is probably so boring sitting here. Okay, about 15-second delay, I think, from what I'm actually doing and the video. So if I don't read your comments right away, that's why. You can do it through Hangouts. It's a lot easier than using. Okay. Through Hangouts, huh? I didn't even see that option. I won't get too whiny about YouTube. I'm sure I missed it. Pink ivory. Yes. One more thing Izzy has to explain to me. Have you run into any difficulties with the basement shop? So, the basement shop is great except for the noise. I don't have my soundproofing in yet. So even though it's a two-story house, and if my wife is sleeping, I want to work late, and she has the fan on and the door's closed, I still can't like hammer on things because the noise just carries through the ductwork. I don't have all of it coated yet, so the noise is definitely a challenge. Aside from that, the basement shop's great. Having air conditioning and heating is wonderful. How do you get large sheet goods down there? So I haven't actually taken any 4x8 pieces of plywood or anything down there, but I've taken drywall that size. You just carry it. I don't have any tight corners to move it around. It's not most convenient, but it's not a production shop. It's not like I'm hauling 30 pieces of plywood down there a day to make cabinets. It's pretty rare that I actually need a piece of plywood that big. So I don't, since it's not for real production, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Dust from the shop to the house, that really hasn't seemed to be too much of an issue. I've got one of the Dylos dust meters, and I've it gets dusty down in the shop. But I've tested upstairs. It doesn't really carry through to the rest of the house. I have the vents closed off because I don't. There's enough just heat transfer, I guess, without having the vents open. So there's no return air going back through the furnace. So it doesn't really seem to be an issue getting dust into the house. And that'll get a lot better when I have all the drywall up one of these decades. Will you ever buy a CNC router? I think I probably will at some point buy a CNC router. The Pizza Peel project, that it was fun to do it without a CNC router, but that would have been a great project for a CNC router. And I've got a few more in my head that it really would be nice to have one. So I think I will have a CNC at some point in the future. What drum sander do you have? That's an interesting question. It is a radial arm saw that was converted into a drum sander. So there used to be a product that you could kind of take a radial arm saw apart and clamp this big arm onto the post. You know, the post of a radial arm saw goes up and down, and then I think the intention was to actually have the radial arm saw still off to the side, like a 45-degree angle and a belt driving the drum from the radial arm saw motor. But I took that all apart and just remounted the radial arm saw motor on this kind of secondary arm. So it's a Frankenstein machine, but it works. You know, I've done. I did all the sanding on bent lamination stuff for fossil table and twisted table on it. It's just all taken apart right now. I had a thought, try to make a drum sander out of a radial arm saw and an old treadmill. Use the treadmill parts for the table or the auto feed thing, because radial arm saws and treadmills are super cheap or free on Craigslist. But I don't think I'll probably ever get to that project. It'd be cool though, if anyone does that. Make a video. Sorry to keep on the pizza peel. What does the metal scraper use on the pepperoni? It's a card scraper. You can get them just about anywhere. Card scraper. So speaking of card scrapers, I hear the question a lot of, I'm a power tool woodworker. What's the first hand tool I should get? And I think card scraper, if not the first, should be one of the first for two reasons. It's cheap, and the tools you need to sharpen it are very cheap. So there's no fancy Waterstones. Even if you wanted to go fancy on the sharpening, all you need is a burnisher. It's like $20 or something. The card scrapers themselves are cheap, and the second reason, they serve a purpose that's kind of hard to duplicate with power tools, apart from just sanding. And then they're fairly easy to use. So get a card scraper if you want to try some hand tools. Card scrapers difficult to sharpen? No, they're really easy to sharpen. I'm not going to try to describe it. I'm sure there are videos. I think William Ang has some good videos on card scraper sharpening. And others probably do as well. I'm not good at filling all the airtime with talking. This is tough. Matt Cremona did a video. I don't listen to that guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. That's a joke, of course. I'm sure Matt's video was spot on. Good putty knife. Yep. Is you just put a little burr on it, or not even worry about that and just use it as is? Love the fossil table. Thanks. So the fossil table is another stretch project for me. Going into it, I didn't know how to do a lot of things I needed to pull off that table. Sharpened just like a regular card scraper. There you go. So get a putty knife and give it a shot. Build a CNC router like Frank Howarth's. I like Frank's. I really like a lot of the things Frank has done with the CNC router. You know, it seemed like a lot of what I'd seen prior to Frank is you know, making signs, or maybe making gears, but he's brought an artistic flair to it and done some really interesting things. So I've enjoyed seeing what Frank's done, and I like how his table. It has a section that pivots, and so he can work on the end of a board or a bowl, whatever it is, at a specific angle. So that's a really cool feature. And I think if I was going to build one, I would definitely do something like that. But man, that's a lot of work. I got so much on my plate, so much I want to do. You know, I think the first step might just be buying a CNC. So are we just here for fun, or are you just yakking at us? So I wanted to try out the live streaming thing just to see if there are any technical issues and if I could make it happen, because in the future I think I will have some themes to live streams. I have some things worth talking about in the future, and I didn't want to be a total rookie at this at that point. So that's why you're here, so you can be my guinea pigs while I figure this out. So thank you. I know you're not being snarky. No worries. Izzy, thanks for joining. Isn't time every woodworker's problem? Yep, I think so. Well, Sean, that commission sounds exciting. That's cool. Thank you for the comment about my creativity. I appreciate that. 3 to 5 projects you've enjoyed from other YouTubers. Oh boy, putting me on the spot here. So I thought it was really cool to see Matt's secretary desk come together, especially because I got to see it for real in the shop, and was at Woodworking in America, where he learned some of the techniques to do. Oh, Matt, what was that thing you did with the curved? Oh gosh, I don't even know what you call it, but some of the features of that desk. So that one's definitely up there. Other great projects. You know, one of the ones that one of the videos early on I found very inspirational was Jimmy DiResta's guitar that looks like a gun. It was just so creative, and that's always been one of my favorites. Definitely a classic. Time frame on the blade. The blade's getting really close. This week's a big week. Hopefully we'll pass a big milestone. If we do, then it'll be within a month that I'll have a big announcement on the blade. New shops coming along very slowly. I'd rather work on either projects for the house or new invention ideas or whatever it is than try to make progress on the shop, it seems. So I haven't made nearly as much headway as I thought I would, but it'll get there. Which Grizzly saw do you have? I have lots of Grizzly tools. It just seems like Grizzly is the price quality combination that is right for me in a lot of cases. So I end up with a lot of Grizzly tools. Time spent on planning and developing ideas. That's a hard one to to answer because, you know, do you spend the time that I daydream while eating breakfast about a product? You know, it's something that's always kind of on the back of my mind, and if I'm bored or just have a minute, I kind of think about. So it's kind of all the time and never. If I sit down for the purpose of just coming up with an idea or refining an idea, I probably won't make any progress. Yeah, I just don't think it works that way for me. So you use SketchUp? Yeah, I use SketchUp. I use SketchUp. I feel like I took a SolidWorks class recently because I'm feeling like you know, if you're talking to serious manufacturers and you want to send them a design drawing, SketchUp is lacking, and I've been in that situation enough recently that I thought, well, maybe I should try to start learning something else. But boy, did I ever find SolidWorks not intuitive. SketchUp was just so easy to pick up. I watched a few videos and I was running, but after 3 hours with the one-on-one expert SolidWorks, I didn't feel anywhere near that. So, and it's expensive, so I'm not sure I'll be going away from SketchUp anytime soon. Dallas, putting off building drawers to buy the blade. Thank you, man. Thanks for the support. Most 3D software is not easy to learn. That certainly seems to be the case. I really wish SketchUp was more powerful as a true professional product design program, but Dima used SolidWorks. Yeah, man, after that class, wow, I was pretty discouraged after the 3 hour SketchUp or SolidWorks class. Cubify design, export STL files. I haven't heard of Cubify. Cubify? Am I saying that right? Mr. Ed Tux, thanks for joining. Good questions. I wish I could I wish I could take everyone's money. Hard to make it use and have the professional bells and whistles. I'm sure that's the case. Yeah, I mean, I can tell SolidWorks is really powerful. I mean, we spent a lot of time building a model, a lot more than I would have than if I was using SketchUp. But then once you have it, you can change the chamfers and the roundovers and just change parameters pretty easily. If I was doing that with SketchUp, I'd be redrawing the whole thing. So it definitely has a lot of power to it. Fusion 360, yeah, I watched some. Anybody have a good recommendation on a Fusion 360 video? Because I haven't really found one. I'm curious about the potential for that program, but 3D Studio Max, Maya, Lightwave. I have not heard of any of these. I've heard of Fusion 360, and I watched a video, but I didn't feel like it was very clear. Very clearly explained how to get started. I just need to get kind of critical mass, get started on something, and then I can learn as I go. But subcontract out SolidWorks. I use it in school. It gets expensive, man. You know, I'm bootstrapping this. I've spent a lot of money on a lot of prototypes and patents and stuff that hasn't made me any money yet. I'm not in a position to go hiring out SolidWorks expertise. Lynda.com, yeah, that's a good point. I've had Lynda.com on my to-do list for a while. I haven't checked it out. Oh, those are video game programs. You will when hope you up on instruction that I need the inventions to make money. Money is kind of a means to make it happen. And I'm typing the same thing because I don't know if everyone can hear me anymore.